Okay.
Okay, today I want to introduce the concept of maxima minima. Now, okay, note that these words maxima and minima, they are paradoxical because this is a plural of the word maximum. Now, in our day-to-day language, there is always one maximum. How can there be many maxima? And this is a plural, so then this requires some kind of adjective before. So what happens is it's like this. When you say that this is the tallest building, you mean tallest building in that area. You don't mean it is the tallest in the world. So something similar here. When you say maxima, meaning it is maximum in a neighborhood like this. Here, this point is maximum in the neighborhood, but your function can be like this, in which case this is called absolute maximum. So that is the difference. This is called local maximum and that is called absolute maximum. Same arguments apply to minimum values. We require the following properties before I proceed to explain how to obtain a maximum or a minimum of a function. Let's list them. First of all, recall the meaning of derivative. What is a derivative? So, as you already know, if f is a function differentiable at a point A, say, differentiable at point A, then f prime at A, recall, is the slope of the tangent line at point A, fa on the graph of f. That's the first observation. Second observation. If f is differentiable, you all know that it has to be necessarily continuous. That's one of the theorems that you studied. If f is differentiable, then f is continuous. Now, the same thing can be written like this. If f is not continuous, then of course f cannot be differentiable. These two mean same thing. If a function is broken, here for example, you cannot have a derivative at the point. The third observation is this. If the slope of the tangent is upwards like this, meaning f prime is positive, because f prime represents tan theta, where theta is the angle which is horizontal. So this is your f prime. If f prime is positive, tan theta is positive, angle theta is this way. And if f prime is negative, that means your slope is downwards. A curve goes this way, here f prime is positive, and if it goes down, here f prime is negative. These observations help us to understand the concept of maximum or a minimum. Let us draw a graph to explain my point. Suppose I construct a graph like this. say I take this part of the graph. So I'll define my fx between -1 and +1 to be equal to, now remember this is graph fx equal to x square and I'm pushing it down through a distance 1, so I will say -1 plus x square. Then I take a graph which is inverted parabola like this. So I will say my fx is equal to minus x. Now observe, minus x square is a graph like this and I am moving it first here and then up. So I am moving this one step up and one step to the, in fact, two steps to the right. So let us write this equation as x going from 1 to 3. This is 1, 2, 3. Now let me construct another graph like this. The equation of that graph would be equal to, same thing like this, but this time I have got x minus 4 square because this is the point 4. So I have got here 3 less than equal to x less than equal to 4. But I want a gap at this end. For a reason I'll explain. So let's not take 4 here. And now I want to cut this graph and start here. Something like this. So again, it is a parabola. So it is equal to, observe, we have raised through a distance of 1. So in fact, yes. So I would say it is 1 plus x minus, this is 5, this is 6. So x minus 6 square. When x is from 4 to 6. And then the function has to be defined everywhere. So let's suppose that at the point 5 the function has some value, say here. Say value is 4. So this point is 5, 4. So observe, this function does not have a derivative here. The reason is this. If you are approaching this point from the left, your tangent line goes this way. And if you are approaching here, then the tangent line goes this way. So there is no unique tangent line here. So the function has no derivative. Remember, whenever there is a sharp corner like this, the function cannot have a derivative there. And also, function is discontinuous here. So it has no derivative here. Such points are called critical points. So what are critical points? First of all, observe a point where f prime does not exist and points where f prime is 0. These are called critical points. Now observe, here this point I would call local maximum because in the neighborhood of 2 you observe that that's the peak, the highest value. So now you can have several maxima. Here is another one. And because they are locally maximum, they are called maxima together. Here is a minimum. And same thing here. So we have 2 minima. And the highest value this function can take is 4. So absolute maximum here is 4. Now, it so happens that absolute minimum coincides with the local minimum. So you can say absolute minimum is the value -1 because this distance is 1. Now, let us investigate this maxima minima further. You might ask me a question whether we do have such kind of functions in our day-to-day life. To give you a simple example, recall if you have a spherical conductor. It's a metallic conductor and suppose you give it some charge. Then you know that the charge resides on the surface. There is nothing inside. So field inside is 0 and outside field at a distance r from the center is given by, if you remember, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 and q upon r square. So when you draw this graph, the graph looks like this. up to the radius, suppose this radius is capital R, then up to capital R, there is no field. And suddenly at R, the field begins at this value, Q upon R square, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. It starts here, and if you continue further, it drops. So we do have such kind of functions in our day-to-day life. So it should not surprise you if a function has such breaks. Point now is, from this picture at least you can immediately decide what is a maximum or what is a minimum. Let's see some criteria that will be used even without the help of a graph. For example, look at this. Here, the function has a positive tangent. Positive tangent means tangent with positive slope. So here your f prime is positive. At this point, tangent is horizontal, so f prime becomes 0, that's a critical point, and then it moves further and becomes negative. So your f prime turns from positive to negative at a maximum, at a local maximum. Obviously, at a local minimum it is the other way around. F prime is negative and it turns to positive. Here, for example, here f prime is negative and then it is 0 and now it turns positive. So this is a criterion which decides whether we have a maximum or a minimum. Now let's put this more analytic like this. Let me call G equal to f prime. So for a maximum what happens is, initially G is positive, then G becomes 0 and then G becomes negative. That simply means that G is decreasing, and because G is decreasing, G prime has to be negative, but G prime is f double prime. So remember, when f prime is 0 and f double prime is negative, what do we have? We have a maximum. So condition for maximum. For a local maximum, what are they? First, f prime at the point should be 0, and second, f double prime should be negative. A similar criterion for a minimum, you can very well guess what it is. For a minimum, f prime a should be 0 and f double prime should be positive. So we will use this criteria to establish the values of maximum minimum for a given function. The whole point is, why do we study maximum minimum? Where is the use? So I'll give you a simple example. Suppose I give you a wire or a rope, 64 meters say, and then I ask you to construct a rectangle using this rope of 64 meters which has a maximum area. Now let's observe, total is 64, so let's do it this way. Suppose this is 30, this is 30 and this is 2 and 2. The total is again 64 and the area is simply this much. But suppose I do it like this, suppose I take this as 15 and 15. So that leaves us out of 64, that leaves us with 34. So I get 17 here, 17 here. And 17 multiplied by 15, that should be 255. Now how do I calculate that fast? 17 multiplied by 15 I will write as 16 plus 1 multiplied by 16 minus 1. So this is 16 square minus 1, which is 256 minus 1. That's how it is 255. So observe that as I change the dimensions, the area changes. The question is, when will the area be maximum? So let's frame this in language of mathematics. Suppose the length is x and the breadth is y. Now I know that the parameter is going to be 2x plus 2y, and you are given it is 64. Let's divide by 2. So I get x plus y equal to 32. In other words, I keep y as 32 minus x. Now I want to find out the maximum value of the area. What will be the area of this rectangle? Simply area is x multiplied by y. That is x multiplied by 32 minus x, that is 32x minus x squared. So this is a function of x. To find maximum value, remember, I must find a point where a prime x is 0 and A double prime at that point should be negative for a maximum. So let's see. If I differentiate this, I get A prime x equal to 32 minus 2x, which gives me x equal to 16, and second derivative is obviously minus 2, which is negative. So we established that when x is 16, we have a maximum area. Obviously when x is 16, y has to be 16 because their sum is 32. So we have a square. So we have proved a very important theorem in mathematics. For a given perimeter, the maximum area of a rectangle is available when rectangle turns out to be a square. That's how we use maximum minimum in our day-to-day life. We can now construct some examples and show you how to calculate maximum minimum. I think we can stop now.
Okay.